Yeah.
5 wins.
Oh,
All right, here we go.
it's 4-speed. I don't care about it.
Roll live. You're live.
Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the ZZPerformance Power Hour, episode 106.
Yeah.
And we're bringing you 3800, this and that's.
Are you drinking flavored TV static again?
I'm trying, okay? I'm trying to do the healthier
Did you
option.
mix some vodka in it?
No, I'm just trying to get straight, and it still sucks.
Ryan Derrick's learning how to drink alcohol.
No.
If you
But
can-
we got
so-
Steve Hickman, longtime 3800 modder tuner, parts builder,
Guy.
supporter, myself, Bo, Ryan Derrick, and Turbo Tim, the man himself. You know anything about a 3800?
I know a few things about a 3800.
You dabbled a time or two?
I have definitely been balls deep in more 3800s than I have been in Ecotechs.
What
Yeah.
kind of what kind of podcast am I sitting in on? Going balls
Yeah, we got
deep now?
3800 fanboy, 3800 fanboy, 3800 fanboy, and then Ryan Derrick. He just tolerates the 3800.
He doesn't even do that. He hates them.
I do it.
I'm
I
not
do it
gonna lie,
moderately.
he supports them more than I would expect.
I am very picky about the ones I like, and here at ZZP, we have 3 of the best examples of 300. There are other nice ones out there, but there are 3 immaculate examples, and Bose Moose is like one of my favorite cars. I support it, and I love it.
And Zoom's GTP is the baddest M90 around.
And Bass 90 round, then you have mass drag cars,
Which
so
is
then
just
it's just mass drag.
Hey,
Yeah. We don't need to
turbocharged-
explain on that.
Turbocharged 400 SBC. Maybe you should ask Matt what tranny is in his Grand Prix that runs 8s. It's
Yeah.
a 4T65E.
Yeah, it sure
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it sure is. So, speaking of Matt's Grand Prix, what's changed over the years of modding 3800s to compare to how do we do it now? Like, let's say
man.
2004 to 2024, what's changed?
The biggest thing is that, honestly, the cars were not built as well, so we had way more upgrades for them. It's actually something that Zoom and I have talked about a lot, and it stinks a little bit for an aftermarket perspective. But like, cars nowadays come with a pretty good airbox and a pretty good exhaust. Back in the day, like, everything, like, think about a 97 Grand Prix airbox. How terrible
That
that
90
is.
degree, 290s.
Yeah, like they were bad.
With your coolant overflow, like touching it.
yeah, like
yeah,
like,
just
just
transferring
terrible.
heat.
back in the 90s and 2000s, like an airbox could be a 15 horsepower mod.
Yeah.
It's not really true anymore.
So
I
what
mean,
about
now,
3800 specifically? What have we changed from now to then?
Tuning software.
It's
Oh,
huge.
geez.
God,
Yeah.
back then everything was AFC this and
Yeah.
spoof that with a diode and
Yeah, it was kind of like what they're doing with the C8s right now, but like that's what we were doing with Grand
Just
Prix
full
back in the day.
handicapped at the time.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like we were skewing MAF signals. We were, playing with IET temps to modify timing. It was some wild stuff back in the day. And now, the tuning has just made it so much better. So much better.
Yeah, HP
mean-
tuners has really changed the game. What blows my mind though is how the horsepower numbers aren't drastically different. For as big as an advantage that the HP tuners has given the platform, we still chase your guys' numbers from 10 to 15 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of that has to do with just the overall dedication you had to, making that 3800 make the power and creating the parts for it. And I think a lot of guys nowadays think that they buy the cam, they buy the headers, and they buy the intercooler, and they think that just because they have the parts, it's all going to come together and work perfectly. And
Oh,
that's
man.
normally not the case. You got to be very involved with it, and that's exactly what you guys were back in the day. Is extremely involved in it.
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot better drivability and stuff now with
For
the
sure.
advanced tuning software. I mean, the cars make about the same kind of power, and they went fast, but we all had just gobs of time at the track that I don't see a lot of these 3800 guys really doing. There's a few out there for sure, but
Yeah.
I mean, we were at the track every Wednesday test and tune, every major event, every
Very
whatever, back and forth between both local tracks, sometimes all the way across the state or out of state. Like, we spent a lot of time learning how to drive these cars and get the best out of the setups and stuff, and that goes a long way too.
Do you ever remember some drivability aspects, like 2 foot in the brake pedal or something at a stoplight, because the dang idle was so high to keep the thing running or something?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I had an NIC car in DHP only days.
Yeah.
There was definitely, you drove it with 2 feet sometimes, and
Right.
it
Or
wasn't
like
happy in the wintertime.
Yeah, like a left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas pedal to keep it from surging and stalling.
Well, back when we would have to drive, like Zoom, Matt, and I, we would have to drive to Detroit to have Dave from DHP tune our cars. And, like, we would drive around and do some stuff. And then on the way home, like, there'd just be some weird drivability stuff. And you're like, well, I'm not going to drive back to Detroit and have them
This
tweak
is what I got for the next month or so.
2 to 3 shifts. So it's like, I just have to deal with this. And now, like, I can, we can make a customer's car shift at whatever RPM they want. Mm-hmm. How many weird requests do you have? Like, hey, I don't want my converter to lock until 55 miles an hour. I mean,
Ryan had one the other day. I don't want it to lock in third. I guess if that's what you want.
Yeah. Yep. And I have people all the time, like, I want it to lock in third. I don't want it to lock in third for the, the LTG and Sonic stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to be able to offer that now, to where before our hands were pretty tied. But, just to go back to it, like, the 3800s had a terrible grounding system, a terrible voltage system. Yeah. And, we were able to make power cables, alt-volt boosters, and those were pretty neat things. And those were all those little ZZP secrets we had. Like, a stock fuel pump. We could get our cars to, like, 400 wheel horsepower on the stock pump. But it was because we had the alt voltage booster and fuel pump rewires and all that stuff. And nowadays, you can do that on stock pumps.
So going off what Tim said, all those mods are double as important as they are now as the cars age rather than they were 20 years ago. So if you have a 3800, and again, going back to, well, I bought the cam and I bought the intercooler and all this, and it's not making power. Have you addressed your voltage system and your grounding and your fuel pump rewire and your fuel pump ground? All those little things that, may just be overlooked. That are extremely common knowledge nowadays, and we sell parts to fix most of them. So
there's a lot of stuff. Hey, you guys, with the 3800s, like, just take all your ground wires off and just wire brush them, and
it's a huge thing.
Dielectric grease them and put them back together, and you would be amazed at how much less your dash lights dim when you kick your headlights on, and like. When you crank your radio, your radio's not dimming as the bass hits. Like, there's a lot of gains to just cleaning up all your ground wires and whatnot.
Yeah, and they're really inexpensive mods. Like, it's just your time and your dedication to making sure that the car's a complete unit. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the big things, but like, I need a 3-inch exhaust. Well, you probably don't need a 3-inch exhaust if you got an M90. Like, have you addressed all the little things? So, one thing worth mentioning. But how about just the progression of boost over the years when when you coined your name Turbo Tim.
Yeah, so Turbo Tim, I came from a whole bunch of Turbo Mitsubishis, and I'm working at ZZP. I don't know, I was here a year or two, and Matt Meekoff came to me and he's like, hey, like, you've had a bunch of turbo cars, like, why don't you get a Grand Prix and we'll turbo it? Mm-hmm. So I went and got a Grand Prix GT. Matt pretty much built me a turbo kit, and we put it on, and we went to a dyno, like a Grand Prix days dyno day, and my car was like the highest wheel horsepower dyno that day, and it just fired up like 2 days before.
Yeah.
Like, Matt threw a turbo on it, and we went there, and it made 417 at the wheels at, like, I don't know, the boost number was high back then. I mean, we'd do the same thing with a lot less boost now, but it was like, I don't know, like 16 pounds or something like that on 93 octane, because we didn't have E85 back then. Not meaning to sound old, but we didn't have that, so all we had was 93 pump gas.
Did your car ever run on E85?
It didn't exist, no.
Really?
It would, like, E85 was pretty much brand new when I was done with. I actually 3 or 4 days ago had a Facebook memory that was 10 years ago, and I was celebrating because I had just sold my last pile of 3800 stuff.
Oh. Wow.
I'm going to swap out for Big Daddy Zoom. He's here to talk about 3800s.
Yeah.
A lot more than me.
Chad Ledger, I see your question about E85. E85 actually does not need more timing. If you're knock limited, if you run E85 with the higher octane, you're allowed to run more timing, but it does not require more timing to make more power.
Yeah, there's a little forgiveness there
Yeah.
that you can take advantage of, but it's definitely not required. Which is crazy because Steve was running a lot of timing on his NIC record holder for years with that pump gas. Man, I thought that was on E85 all this time.
There was always 110 in the tank. Always a couple gallons of 110. I had
That was the magic
Yeah.
fuel back then, just spritzing in a little bit of
yep,
110.
throw a gallon or two of 110 in at every tank, and that
Oh, that's not bad. Just
stopped
a
me
gallon or
from
two.
blowing it up most of the time.
Zoom ran low lead 104 a lot, right? From post drive.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice.
That's what we had.
Yep, that's what we had back then. It was expensive, you know, 3 something a gallon at least back then. That was
Yeah, expensive for those days.
yeah,
Not now.
15 years ago now. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were just saying. We were just saying how how the times have changed, but you know, from what you guys used to do in the early 2000s to how we modify 3800s today is there's a lot more advantages we have, but how you guys were so good at making the power back then, we're still chasing a lot of those numbers, and you know, a lot of those records still stand. But you know, it's just, and then we were talking about some turbo stuff and how the forced induction came about with Turbo Tim and all that. But yeah. We still got your car on an M90 though.
We did some things that we wouldn't normally do in a customer build, and a lot of stuff that's just not practical. You know, I don't know if I ever talked about using like aluminum tubing instead of radiator hose.
Oh yeah.
Because it was ounces cheaper, ounces lighter.
We
you know?
finally just took that off the car last year when we
Yeah,
redid the intercooler system.
Just stuff like that. I was always doing stuff before other people were doing. I did the aluminum cradle first, and you know, I would once in a while someone would come by the car and be like, "Hey, what's that?" Like, shh, you know.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on
And,
the aluminum cradle story at all?
I'd rather not. Yeah, I'd rather not. on
Acquired
that
an
one.
aluminum cradle
Yeah.
over a weekend and got
Yeah.
it in the car and
Yep.
good.
So many stories about, you know, it would just be out in the wild, like, oh, you can't do that. And I'd ask, oh, has anyone ever tried this? No, it doesn't work, or it can't, or whatever. And, you know, Thrasher had written a big article about how you couldn't use, what was L36. You couldn't put boost to an L36. There were all these reasons why, you know. Convincing, very professional, all put together, you know, and they were top dogs initially. And it was me kind of by accident where
In a
I
pinch.
did, you know, yeah, because I blew up a stroker motor, I think. You know, I had some weird prototype
Yep.
stroker motor using some rods I found out of a 1970s 8-cylinder, and I
Pinto.
cut them
No, they were
down.
Buick.
It was out of an 8.
They were
small
Buick.
8,
Yeah, there was
right?
it was a small Buick V8 with
Yeah,
offset ground. and
offset ground to crank, use those rods, cut the rods to work, you know, did all the measurements,
offset
got that going.
bushed the rod, the small end of the rods.
Yep.
And it was
and,
wild.
and it worked for a little while, you know.
Until it didn't.
Till it didn't. Yep. Still don't know why, but yeah, it lasted. It made good power. Everything was great. I was setting records, but it didn't last more than some number of weeks, you know. But yeah, so did the L36, swapped it in the afternoon, went to the track, set records.
Yeah.
Messing with the head gaskets was another one, where you know, changing the deck height a little bit, changing the it was how much quench area do you need? And I didn't know, and nobody could answer. Everyone would just give you
Yeah.
these standard answers, because I was like, oh, how much space do you need between the piston and the head? Because I'm not a car guy. A lot of people didn't know that. I'm not a car guy. That was my biggest advantage in 3800s, is that I wasn't a car guy.
So you
and
didn't have any rules.
And I'm an extremely disagreeable person. Like, when someone tells me I can't do something, it literally means nothing to me. My entire life, everyone says you can't do something, right? So I tried everything, and, you know, a lot of times people were right. Yeah, I guess they were right. Can't do that. You know, it didn't work. But I would say a good 50% of the time, they were full of shit. They didn't mean to be. They didn't know. They were just passing on.
You would ask a
information.
question that everybody just goes, oh, everybody knows the answer to that. Everybody knows on a small block Chevy, you X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Throw that idea out the window, and you're, why? You know, why not?
Yeah.
Let's try this. And
Yeah, so then I asked so many people about that piston. Well, how close, you know, what kind of clearance do you need? And they'd tell you, and it would just be all book shit, right? And I was like, well, I'll just make it smaller until the pistons kiss the head and see what happens, right? And I did, and it worked. And you know, it was just so many of those kinds of things that was giving me these advantages until other people discovered them. and moved into stuff.
Yeah, especially
down to stuff like multi-layer head gaskets. Zoom was like drilling the rivets out and pulling layers out
yeah.
to thin, make the head gaskets thinner to crank the compression up. I mean, the rest of the story on the L36 was, the stroker blew up. He had an event like a couple days later, and a friend of ours had a NA engine just sitting in his garage at his parents' house. And Zoom's like, I need an engine. Tim, go get it. So I jumped in the ZZP van, went and fetched this engine, Zoom threw it in the car, and it made great power. And I don't know if it ever didn't have an L36 in it from that point on until maybe you twin charged it a few years later.
And I made the mistake of telling Scott Cook, about that. And then he started posting online that I had a prototype lightweight race engine on the forums. What are you going to say?
AKA $100 junkyard motor, but whatever.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, it's still our go-to bottom end for the M90 if you're going to do something crazy.
I milled heads because I was like, how far can you mill heads? No one would give me an answer, so I just kept milling them. And I think I had a set of heads that was, I must have taken like 100 thou off the heads, right?
NA heads, yeah.
But of course, they're paper thin, so they're just floppy, right? So as soon as you put boost to them, they'd blow out in the traditional spots between the main studs, right? I don't even know if we had main studs at that time. Might have been head bolts yet. And they'd blow out. So then I was like, well, can you put extra bolts in there? Again, no one could give me a straight answer about it. I literally took a hand drill and drilled through the heads and rigged up 5/16 bolts, which again you couldn't do because they were too small, right? And you can't use a hand drill because it's not straight. All these things you can't do, and I had to goop them because they leaked coolant, because they weren't straight. But it worked. It got me down the track. Yeah. You can't do that on a customer car. Can't do that on a daily driver for a period of time. But you can do it to test. And so what I would do is I would bypass the normal. What would you call it? Like, it takes a long time. We didn't have the equipment, right? So if you're going to pull everything apart, send it to the machine shop, wait for them to do it, like all this kind of stuff, it just takes too long when it's like there are too many things on this car I have to do. I have to just rig it. If it works, then over here we'll do it right, But if it doesn't work, why waste the money? And so it was all very, very, what do you call that? It's such budgets. We didn't have any money back then. Everything, it was like a DeWalt hand drill and some Harbor Freight bits.
And like the machine shops, like they're so old school that they just don't want to do it and they don't want to help you. Mm-hmm. So like Zoom will go to them and be like, hey, I would like you to drill a hole here. And they're like,
You're just going to blow your car up. This isn't going to work.
Yeah, they wouldn't
get
do
out
it.
here.
Like you said, DeWalt hand drill the hole and tap the hole and run a bolt and RTV and done.
And I was told that the blocks, you could only go oversize a little bit because the blocks were thin, right? So once again, I'm like, well, I don't believe you. So I brought in a block, paid to get it, what are they, ultrasound them or something
Sonic
like that?
checked, yep.
Sonic checked the block. And they tell me like, oh, you got all kinds of meat there. You got like a 1/4 inch on each side or something. So I'm like, sweet. Another thing that everyone got wrong. I'm going to go big bore. I'm going to be running big pistons. Nobody else has, thought of this, and I'm going to do it. So I bring it to the shop. I tell them what I want to do. And they're like, Zoom, like there's literally like cylinder to cylinder, not as much meat as they're telling you. Like, so unless there's a space-time continuum here, they gave you the wrong data. And I looked at that, measured it, and I was like, yeah, that's true. I couldn't have this much wall and this much wall when there's not even double that between the cylinders. So I go back there, and those guys, that's how much of a joke we were. I think they just took my money because
gave you some bullshit answer and got you out of there.
They're just like, freaking kid with these little tinker toys. Just tell him something and get him out of here. Take his money. Right? And they did, and I got scammed, which is why I started ZZP, right? Was because so many shops just lied, cheated, stole my money, it's bullshit. So here we have ZZP because of it. But yeah, it was very frustrating along the way doing that stuff.
Yeah, many obstacles to overcome, but that's what we do here at ZZPerformance, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still battling machine shops. I mean, I can't give out like trade secrets, but we're still battling machine shops on some head stuff we want to do with 3800s yet. So no, 3800 guys, we have not forgotten you. and we're still playing around with 3800 stuff.
Oh yeah, we're tinkering on some cool valve train stuff right
Yeah,
now.
for Zoom's car, and if it works out on Zoom's car, we'll probably offer it to the customers. I mean, we're still playing with 3800s.
So let me put one of my employees on blast here and tell you what it's like to work at ZZP.
I feel it's going to be me.
Yeah, it's coming. No, it's not Tim. It's not Tim. So we got this Escalade, and the Escalade, I noticed it starts kind of slow. So it's been bothering me for a long time. Change the battery, it starts slow. And I say, Bo, you run the install bay. Pull it in there. I want a big wire kit. I want to check this out. I want to do this thing, right? And so then Bo's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to make Zoom proud. I'm going to pull the car, and I'm going to do this, that, whatever. So this morning, because we're kind of short-staffed right now, and then Bo gets back to me, and he says, hey, Zoom, I brought in the car, and all the wires are 4-gauge, so it's good, man. It's good. And I'm like, well, leave it in there so I can look at it because, I don't trust my guys. I don't trust anybody. Telling me this bullshit. Everybody tells me bullshit my whole life, right? So I'm like, yeah, that's great. It's got 4-gauge wire. Still starts slow, so you didn't fix shit. So I go outside. It's freezing. I'm wearing this thin-ass thing. Randy, new guy, come with me. So I pop a few things out, check it out. And to the guy who didn't do what I asked him to do, sitting right to my left here, who's going to get his ass chewed, is I found 0.7 volts of drop on the hot side and 0.5 volts of drop on the ground side. So no, Bo, you shit the bed, and you made me go outside and do your job for you, which is why I wanted it left in the garage where it was nice and warm so I could do this test. But it's okay. I got to start it outside, which is what I needed to do to run the test. So you did half the job. I finished the other half. So here we are.
Oh, thanks for that.
I don't listen to people when they tell me that things don't work and that something can't be done. The transmission, I think we went over that when I said I want to run dual 1/2-inch chains in the tranny. And the tranny shop said you can't because the gears are only 3/8 and you're going to run a 1/2-inch and it's going to get all wonky and it won't work. I said, yeah, but just do it anyway. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not building this trans just to go blow up when you pull out of here. I said, I don't care. Just do it anyway. Nope, not doing it. I said, look, I'm going to pay you the money to do the trans build. This is another transmission shop. I'm going to pay you the money. And I want it to break. I just need to see like how long it'll break. I just want to see like, will it even like pull out of the parking lot? And they're like, you really? You're going to pay $1,200 to see if it'll pull out of the parking lot? Yup. That's what I want to do. I got money to blow. I just want to waste it like that, right? So it worked. Not as well, not as a solution to offer a customer, not to something I can post and tell everyone, hey, go do this. But it worked well enough to where we're like, okay, that does work. So we can continue in that direction. But I don't know if that was in the Langer days. We go in and out of employee strengths and weaknesses. So if we get an employee that's good at one thing, we're going to start developing that area. And then if that employee isn't here anymore, then that's going to fall to the wayside. So that's part of what happened with the transmission. We were in the middle of doing, it was a lot of years of transmission stuff. And we lost our guy mid-development I can't even call it development. Mid-research, right? We had no idea if anything we did was going to work, from those guides that we had set up to the dual chain and spacer thing that we were setting up. But our goal was to build a cheap transmission that lasted, because that really hurt that market. Yeah, and that's really every market. You gotta, if you have something that costs too much, and you have to have it because it breaks. We got it in the LTG market, those motors. We got it in the 3800 market with the transmissions. We
got it in the Cobalt market with transmissions. I mean,
there's a viable solution there. I mean, at least you could put an F4.
Now?
Yeah, now. There wasn't.
We were 10 years into modifying that car before we figured out the F40 goes in.
Grand Prix, it just stinks. Like, here's everything you need to make 500 wheel horsepower for $3,000. Like, here's all your dreams. Don't ever floor it because your transmission's just going to explode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll put myself on blast here a second. So we had a customer come in, Monte Carlo, wanted a full ZZP engine, forged pistons, big cam, turbo kit, everything. Had a triple edge tranny in it because we didn't offer trannies at the time. And I'm on the dyno just turning it up, and the car's just loving life. Got it up to like 540 wheel horsepower, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop turning this thing up. We basically handed the customer the keys, and he breaks his tranny, and they're like, hey, you can't make this much power on this tranny. And we pretty much ate it. We paid the bill to fix the tranny and, get the car back, because that's what we do. It's, we warranty our stuff, and, we didn't even build the tranny. I just turned it up too far. It's a learning experience.
For sure.
I made a post today, and I tell this a lot because I don't think customers really understand the gravity of it. Like this business is kind of your market, and in that 3800, you have my gratitude because the 3800 guys have spent so much money with us, and they've been so good to us that it enabled us to spend $100,000 on R&D for the 4T65, and for us that's a pretty big program. For one product, it might be the most expensive development investment that we've ever done in that. So you have my gratitude because you guys gave us that money, through your support and purchases. And then you also have my apologies because we failed to deliver, really what you expected to see out of us in that market. And it just bothers me a lot that we weren't able to take that to completion. But like the guy said, we have not given up on that market yet. We still love making parts for it. We still love tinkering with the cars. We've still got secrets to share that we let trickle out here and there.
Yep.
So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Short stack intercooler release went well. We've been working on that forever. Everybody was super waiting. Next up, that's going to be that big of scale is probably the HV insert.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Have we talked about that?
We've just been hinting around, nothing too crazy, but they know it's in the works.
No one's seen the prototype?
No.
We can release that. We can show.
We
can teaser that pic. Nobody can copy that. That's impossible.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one.
It's absolutely impossible. So people are gonna like that.
Trevor's listening right now. He's been wanting to share it a bunch.
That thing is so cool. You're gonna want a clear plastic intake manifold so you can see it.
Absolutely.
We've been playing with that a lot the last year or so.
We should call it like F1 insert or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty badass. It's absolutely. It makes the old stuff look almost embarrassingly simple.
I think one of the coolest things about the 3800 is how great that engine still is. It is 2023, and the 3800 still can get 30 miles a gallon and make like 250 wheel horsepower with just a few bolt-ons. Like that thing is so relevant still.
Yeah, we've got a whole timing chain system.
Yep.
A new setup coming out, cleaner oil, less mass, and yeah, we're still doing it.
That was the valve train hint I dropped.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think we don't have that on my car yet, do we?
Nope.
No, I just made the proto last week.
Okay.
We're close. We'll have it in your car, and I think I'm going to stab it in my Regal too, because I'm doing an ST2 cam. So
okay.
We'll have two cars running it.
I made 2.
Look at this guy. He knows.
Yeah.
Actually, I made 4 because I screwed up the first 2. But
yeah. God, it's so much fun being in development and doing that. And Steve came up with a process to update what'll be several of our products. Just a small one, but pretty slick.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Continual improvement, always trying to find ways to just eliminate dumb problems. I don't know how much I want to say about that, but
just streamline everything.
Yeah, streamline everything. I mean, if it's cheaper for us to make, we can pass on the savings to you guys. Less time in our hands, from the CNC machine directly to the box, ready to go. Like if we don't have to dink around with all these value-added processes and stuff like that. I mean, we can pass all those savings on to you guys, which is what we're all about. So we're just always looking for ways to streamline everything.
Yeah, back to what Tim was saying, though, about how a ton of people haven't caught on to how good the 3800 is. I'm kind of appreciative of that because you can still get them for a fair amount used. Yep. Like the prices aren't through the roof on a used 3800. But, it's crazy that these guys all went LS when the 3800 is half the price, half the weight, and maybe not half the weight, pretty comparable weight, but has the same power potential,
It's a V6.
Yeah.
So you're just the V8 market is just
scares them away.
Yeah, it's just like last week when we were talking about Honda versus Cobalt. Like, it's just kind of viewed as cooler to mod the Honda than a Cobalt. That's why you see 10-to-1 modded, Hondas versus Cobalts, and that's why you see so much more LS stuff. Yeah. because the 3800, I mean, it makes great power and great fuel economy.
You know where we lost some of our guys to V8 is we didn't have the equalizer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was waiting for I was going to speak up
Yeah.
about that. Sound is the reason that my driveway is full of LS stuff right now.
Yeah.
Even though I could probably make more power with a turbo 3800, but I'm going to break the transmission first, and it's going to sound like shit second.
Yeah.
Until the equalizer's out. Now they sound great. Now I'm like constantly like just having these dreams like, what can I swap one of these motors into? I want something old and
Yeah, I mean,
just
you could still
different than-
manual tranny swap it. I mean, and we still haven't
Yeah.
given up on the 4T65. We're just waiting. We're always looking for talent. We were trying to hire this one 4T65 tranny guy. It didn't work out, but another guy will come up, and maybe we'll revisit all this. I mean, we will revisit this. It's just we're just waiting for the right employee.
I think it was Alex that brought forth the equalizer, wasn't it?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So some backstory. Everybody, including us, has tried 10,000 things to make that 3800 sound good. Nobody has ever accomplished it, ever. And then someone on Facebook, was it?
Somebody on Facebook
Yeah.
took a set of pace setter headers and lengthened one of the runners a certain
No,
amount
they
of
did. They
inches.
did the
A big,
undercar.
big horseshoe
They
under
did a
the
big
car. to-
horseshoe under the car. And we argued. You said it was fake, Steve.
I said it sounded. It's somebody dubbed a Supra on top of it.
Said it was fake.
Yeah.
Yep.
He said it was fake, and so we almost didn't move forward because we watched that video, we talked about it, we debated it in the meetings because honestly, we don't want to waste our money, which is your money. We don't want to waste money developing something that is based on a customer making a fake product. And so we then decided, okay, well, let's go forward with it because maybe it's real. And
I had found videos of Commodores in Australia, which are north-south engine placement with more traditional true dual exhaust with an X pipe, and it sounded just like that guy's Grand Prix.
Yeah.
okay.
And that's where we decided right there that this guy's not full of crap, and we need to keep going.
Yeah, we tried the resonator first,
Yep.
and that actually worked decently well, lengthening the one runner length in the resonator with a dual downpipe. And then the problem was it just didn't last long. It would blow out the baffling in the resonator. So we went from that to let's just prove the concept of what the guy basically did in the YouTube video, which was lengthen the one shorter bank. And then we finally achieved the sound. And then from there, we were talking in Tim's office one morning, and I'm like, what if we just take a T3 crossover and don't put a turbo on it? So that's basically what Alex built the next morning, was a T3 crossover with no turbo.
Yep.
And then we, dialed in the lengths, and it was boom, equalizer crossover.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's amazing how a product that doesn't seem like it'd be difficult to develop can take
20 years.
It's embarrassing, really, for
Yeah,
not just us, but the whole community.
The
Like,
solution seems simple once you see it.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell's wrong with us? Like, why didn't we think of this 20 years ago?
but it
What?
was a group effort. I don't remember the guy's name, but had he not
Yeah.
posted and published that,
For sure.
we probably wouldn't have had it on our minds to work on it. Now, it was no small thing. It was years that
Yeah.
we spent here.
It was
debating
years,
and
and
trying
then
different
when I
things.
got here, it was like 6 months to a year of just like relentless failures until we finally got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was, that's how these developments go. That was just one guy's idea. I don't even know where he got it, but
Yeah, right.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works good, though. It works really good. We got it on all of our 3800s anymore. And
everyone loves that sound.
and there was a lot of argument out there about it robbing a lot of horsepower because we're putting both banks through a 2.5-inch downpipe, and then we kind of proved that wrong right before the W body meet when we switched Zoom's GTP over from the big boy 1 7/8 headers to a equalizer setup, and I think it lost 8 horsepower, and it went from like 422 to 14s as far as and the boost stayed the same. That was what the most impressive thing was, is we thought we were going to see a huge boost increase without running the 1 7/8 header, and the boost didn't change at all.
And I know I would give up 8 horsepower for that sound. for
Exactly,
sure.
and that's what we were
But did
saying.
we go from inch in 7/8 to inch in 5/8, or is that set up inch and 3/4 at the head?
They're inch and 5/8 on the power logs, I'm pretty sure.
So we went down 2 steps.
Yeah.
In,
Yeah.
do we have any plans on making a inch and 3/4 power log setup?
We had some.
We had cooler plans than that.
Yeah, just like a shorty header, basically.
Yeah, dual equal length headers is the plan. It's just waiting on R&D time. Just waiting on R&D time.
Who's on that project? Who would be?
I
should
think it
say.
would be Alex.
Yeah.
Alex is our F1 header maker.
I know
guy.
he's our exhaust guy, and I know he's trying to get the OBD2 down on the custom cat stuff we got.
Yeah.
Going. He's got a lot of time in compliance.
Yeah, man. Like you guys don't understand. Like the EPA is a thing. We are investing a lot of time right now to keeping these cars totally legal when it comes to the EPA. Because if you guys want our future, not ZZP's, your future in modding cars,
Yeah.
we can't be doing cat deletes and all this, especially when you don't gain any power from it.
Yeah.
It's fine. A cat is fine, and if we can figure this cat stuff out to where you can put downpipes on without having check engine lights and not having to delete codes and stuff, our future's going to live on.
Yeah. There's
we
not a
need
car
that.
on ZZPerformance property that doesn't have a catalytic converter on it.
No, Zoom enacted that rule a few years ago. He said if your car doesn't have a cat on it, don't park it in our parking lot.
Yep. Literally. We're pro cat here through and through. And if you email in and asking us to delete a bunch of codes, this is just stuff we're not going to support. So
No, we can't. Too many other companies have gone down and
Yeah.
had tens of thousands of dollars in fees.
If not more. We want to be here for the long run. And we're also, if we were here just to make the most power, we would be selling turbo LS setups,
Yeah.
right? That's what we do. We do small displacement stuff because we enjoy the sport. We enjoy the challenge. We love the intricacies and the journey and the discovery. It is amazing when we run into each other's offices like, what do you think of this? I discovered this. Let's try this. Look, I gained this on the dyno. And it's a challenge, and that challenge is fun. And that's why, I don't really think we're going to be, we could all drive Teslas. I've got a Tesla. It's one of my vehicles, but it's not our fun cars. It's not our sport. It's not where we're going to go. There isn't any kind of finesse to doing electrics, or in our case, to saying, hey, look, I made 1,000 horsepower because I got a turboed LS. Well, I would hope so.
Yeah.
So what? Someone is, I just bought this, whatever it is. I spent 150,000. Look at all my horsepower. Yeah, so what? Like, that's there's no fun in that, Like, it's cool, sure, but it's completely different than what we try to do here. We almost go in the opposite direction. Challenge ourselves. What can we get out of, that's why we do the 1.4. Because it's an underdog motor. It's like, who could ever get power out of a 1.4? That's why we got into 3800s a long time ago. Everyone was 8-cylinder. Everyone said you couldn't do it. And, look how far we've taken the 3800. What are we?
It took us years to figure the 1.4 out. Years.
Took us years to figure the 3800 out.
Yeah, multiple employees, failing, at it until somebody just tries something and just starts to figure stuff out.
When Jack Neal ran a 12.9 with his 3800, I said, that's not possible. He cheated. That was my opinion. I was like, it's just too fast. It's just not even possible. A 3800 can run 12.9. And he had these pistons that propped up the back. He's running skinnies. He had, he's doing race fuel. Like he knew a lot of things from previous race experience. So he brought that kind of in 3800. But now, 12s.
Jeez.
Like we
Minivans run 12s.
Well, yeah. What do we run? NA.
Yeah.
12.5, I think.
Yeah,
NA.
12.6, yep.
Yeah. So
That one still blows my mind.
Yeah.
12.6 NA.
twice we did it with a stroker motor, and then you're cheating. It's not a 3800. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Right. So then I pulled that motor apart, and then I did it with compression. I think I had almost 13-to-1 compression or something, whatever I could get. I milled pistons down on the top, and then I changed the head gasket thickness. I milled heads down. I got to just about 13-to-1. Sounded different.
I bet it sounded really cool. I bet it sounded punchy.
It had a good sound to it. Sounded a lot different than other 3800s.
Yeah.
You could tell something was up with it. It's hard to do when you change the stroke, it changes the cam requirements. The stroked motors want longer duration cams. Don't know why. They make the cams act smaller. And then when you go high compression, they want a little bit different cam too, but we never totally dialed that in. So we were just trying random crap at that point. And, we were so far in the lead. I don't think we pursued that much further. And then by the time the aluminum heads came out and, there's different things, there's only so many projects you can keep going with.
Yeah, for sure. Working with the crew we got here, we do what we can.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what we would be able to accomplish nowadays. We've got a better crew than we've ever had. Man, it would be. We've learned a lot. Our R&D team is so much better. Like, we have people that are available to engineer parts. Like, back then, like, we all had multiple jobs. We're running around with multiple hats, and it's like, if you want us to pick this ball up, we have to set this other ball down. Mm-hmm. And now we actually have people that are in charge of, like, moving us forward. And that's great. That was a great spot to be. I think Alex might have been, like, our first employee that was like, okay, you're R&D now.
Yeah.
Make your position.
You don't have to stop R&D to go build this
Yeah.
downpipe for
Customer
Bob so it can
service and
ship
ship
out today.
parts.
And then you got to go put it in the box yourself or
Yeah.
go answer some emails. No, just work on making stuff. That's what we want you to do. And that's worked out really well for us. He's coming out with a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, right now he's really into the Gen 2 cruise.
He's been going to town on my car. We're bringing it back in Monday for some more stuff. We got some parts, I guess, parts in the 3D printer going over the weekend. We're putting those on Monday. Intercooler development's going to start next week, so we'll talk about that one a little bit. That's.
And I just, I just request, just be patient with us. I know you hear us talking about Gen 2 Cruise a lot, and we have the Gen 2 Cruise guys that are like, oh, what's a new part? What's a new part? And it's like, there's a lot of time involved in this. You have to engineer a part. You have to have an idea. You have to engineer the part. You have to put the part on the car, get it on another car, and just keep engineering and playing around with this thing to perfect it. And then you have to produce it and make it, like, producible affordably. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's going to be a few months before you see more Gen 2 Cruise stuff pop on our website.
And it might fail.
And they might.
Yeah.
Because we always do. Like, every new market, we have a part that is just a huge headache.
But we'll tell the audience about it afterwards, even if we fail.
Yeah.
We'll tell them what we tried. Maybe save someone else from doing it.
Yeah, we try and build everything here in-house. So, I mean, we're learning from scratch. Like, we're not going to K&N and having them build us an intake. We're not going to Magnaflow and make us an exhaust system. Like, those are specialty companies that do one thing. They're more likely to get it right the first time. We kind of trial and error a lot of stuff and learn from our mistakes and keep moving forward. And
those kind of companies that make one part, they're a volume producer. They make one kind of part for every car. They mass produce it, and they need a part.
They figured out their recipe and what works.
Yeah, they got a recipe, and they go there and they do it. And we've kind of, we've got a little bit different method that we do because we've got other motivations for what we're making. And you got to understand, like, we're all driving these cars, and a lot of times the parts come out the way we want them to come out. Not necessarily the way that is going to be best mass produced. Like, the guys want the best part on their own car. So they're like, nope, I don't want it like this, or I want it like that. And sometimes parts aren't even viable, but it's what people want anyway. So it's what we do. It's like Matt's is out of the bag, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
yeah.
it?
I don't think we ever...
Not officially, but we're not trying to hide it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a secret. I mean, it's parked out front some days, so
It's not a secret.
Okay, yeah. So Matt's got we gave him a C8, right? Rear engine 2023 C8 Vet, and he's like, I want this one because I want to build a twin turbo kit for it and drive it. He took it to our bowling thing. And so, that's just what happens. Like, what he wants, that's what he's going to get. The turbo kit that's on there, he's building it because that's what he wants. And the audience will get to buy what Matt wanted for himself, not necessarily, what we would mass produce. He'll make it in a way we can produce it, but that's just kind of the way we go. You know, most of the parts on the 3800 early days, they were parts that I wanted on my car. So they ended up going out there, parts that we need. The timing thing, I think, was my idea on the 3800 that we're coming out with. It's because what I want on my car. I'm going to save £1. That's a lot to me. And there's some other advantages too. But
Yeah.
Man, saving £1 of rotating weight, that's huge. I remember when you and I used to run into each, well, not our offices back in the day, we would run up to each other's desks. But we would like run up to each other and be like, look at this. I just pulled, this is 8 ounces out of my car. Like, we used to do that all the time. You know, like I pulled this out and it didn't affect anything. And then he would go run out and pull it out of his car or vice versa. You know, it's, and we have we've got a lot of employees with platform cars too. I mean, Steve
didn't we
and I
count one time how many platform cars we had? In the
well, Steve, how many 1.4 liters do we have in ZZP?
16 or 17. I'd counted a few weeks back, probably a month ago. Yeah. I was like, man, we've got to have 5, 6, 10, 12. Started writing them down, and there's, I think, 16 or 17.
And only a couple of them are company, like ZZP owned.
Oh, like all the shipping guys and stuff started, like,
Yeah.
one guy bought one, and everybody's like, well, I want a Sonic too, and now they've all got Sonics and Cruises.
Yep.
Yeah.
We figured out how to make them fun.
Yeah, we figured out how to make them fun, and now everybody that works here wants one.
Yep.
Some would call it a family, some would call it a cult, but if either
Yeah.
join it or don't.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
Connor, our catbacks, before we brought our muffler manufacturing in-house here, we did use some MagnaFlow mufflers and stuff, but that was kind of the early days of us.
That was like over 10 years
That
ago.
was old building stuff. Yeah, that was 10, 12 years ago. We have our own mufflers now. But, I mean, that's how you start.
Yeah, you start. I mean, we obviously made mufflers many, many years ago, and a whole bunch of them failed, you know, until we figured it out. Now they're in-house
We've got them
ZZP
figured
mufflers.
out now, so
I don't think we sell any exhausts that use any non-ZZP mufflers anymore.
nothing.
Definitely
Nope.
not.
I think the Ion was like the last one that had a MagnaFlow muffler on it for a
I've
little
been
while.
selling a lot of our ZZP branded mufflers to some like local guys for platforms that we don't support, where they would normally go buy a MagnaFlow muffler off Amazon or something like that.
Yeah.
They've been buying them from me because they're a good quality 304 stainless hard packed muffler that, I mean, it just works good. They sound good. They're awesome quality.
Yeah, I
So-
pulled the Ford up the other day, and my old Ford truck, and Ryan's like, man, that thing sounds good. I'm like, ZZP cat, ZZP muffler.
I got them on my Trailblazer
some-
and my
Some 3-inch
And my
stainless out of the
Colorado.
scrap bin.
yep. I got a trash can exhaust system on the Colorado with new mufflers, nice new mufflers.
Yeah, our specific stuff is it's very specific. You know, Alex has got what six months into what wash coat to put on the cat, I think.
Yeah.
At least 6
that.
months, maybe more.
Closer to a year, I think, really.
Yeah. And that we don't really care what the products do on all the other cars. We care what they do on our cars. And
People
that's-
keep asking where the 1.4 downpipes are. They've been out of stock forever. That's where they're at. We are literally working on this every single day, trying to solve this problem.
Yep.
This isn't like we just don't want to sell them anymore. Like, we're actively trying to find a solution here.
Yeah,
That's,
sell
that
a
keeps
legal-
EPA happy, keeps the car happy.
And there are companies who, you know, don't get us wrong, we're not the only ones that can do this. There's companies out there, and they've got product that they'll sell us, and we can use their cat, and we can make a downpipe. But I think our cost is approaching $400 for just the cat from someone else that's figured it out. And so, you know, when someone comes to me and says, well, Zoom, we can do this. We can sell an illegal product. Well, no. We can sell it with their part. No, I don't want to do that because I don't like selling other people's parts if we can help it. And I can't sell a downpipe for $700 to the audience. Well, just, you know, someone might do that. So if we can solve this, you know, in our typical mode, we'll have an affordable part that's legal, that works, and we'll offer something that, to my best of my knowledge, no one else is going to do or can do. But when you're trying to do something that doesn't exist, it is not easy. You can't just call up, in this particular case, you can't call up MagnaFlow and say, give me a cat and then sell a product. We could. MagnaFlow has a lot more resources than we do, and they probably can, you know, just ask their cat guy, you know, what's going to work. But then we're selling a $700 downpipe with someone else's name on it. right? And if there is a problem, we can't warranty it the same. You'll notice all of our other branded parts have a 1-year warranty. That's what everyone offers. MSD, Magnaflow. So I don't know about Magnaflow. A lot of these companies have a 1-year warranty. And so we at ZZP, anything that's branded ZZP, 2-year warranty. And if it ends up being a defective part where it's mass failure, then we extend that warranty. We don't have an official policy on that, but that's just the right thing to do, right? If we designed it wrong, if we developed it wrong, we fix it. I think we
that's
just had
on us. We'll take care of it.
I think we just had a Regal guy with one of those downpipes before we figured it out. 5 years old or something
Or
like
more
that.
than that, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll replace it all for you. No charge.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Feel free to reach out. Don't think that we're just gonna, turn you away by any means. Feel free to reach out, especially before you run to Facebook. We'll take care of you on it. No, even if it is 5 years old.
We'll help you out. It depends.
Yeah,
on the
we'll always help you out,
situation.
but it totally depends on the situation. Like I said, we have a 2-year warranty on the product, and that is, hey, this thing just wore out. Well, we have a 2-year warranty.
Yeah.
But often there is a case where you got an early design of a part, and it prematurely failed, or it was designed in a way that we realized wasn't going to last a long time, like with
Yeah,
the
that Regal thing,
flood
we
flood.
made a rolling change on the downpipe and
Yeah.
had updated the design on it, stuff like that. So we took care of the guy.
Always-
and,
always
and-
one of
and
the
that-
original
and that's the way
ones.
we operate. But we don't make it official because then we'll get people like, hey, my injectors are all clogged. I bought them 10 years ago. Are you guys going to do the right thing and swap them out? No, we're not, because, we don't warranty Lucas injectors for 10 years because you have an old car with old gas in it. Sorry. We have a 1-year warranty there.
Yeah, Connor Murphy mentions K&N's got a lifetime warranty. Yeah, K&N has got a pretty easy, non-liable product. A cold air intake or an air filter. We'll easily have a lifetime warranty on something like that. But you want to make
I wasn't able to
downpipe-
get my warranty on my K&N thing, so I don't know how easy it is to get a lifetime
You
warranty.
can mark a box guaranteed.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where you see something that's like, well, it got crushed, it's damaged, it's this, that, whatever, right? But and you're buying K&N through a distributor, and if you go back into a lot of distributors, they're going to tell you to deal with K&N, and when you deal with K&N, they're not going to be as straightforward either. Not saying it's impossible, but I have not had, I don't think, a single experience where someone bought a ZZP airbox and said, I can't get a warranty on it and it fell apart and it's shitty. I don't think it's happened once. We've sold thousands and thousands of airboxes. We've sold thousands of airboxes in single platforms. Shocked to hear how many, Cruise airboxes or something we had sold?
Cruise is really big.
I don't remember what it was, but it was
Yeah.
one I didn't even realize we sold hardly
Yeah.
anyhow.
Well, base model Cobalt airboxes, like a market that we didn't think was a big market, and then we realized that we've sold thousands of intake tubes, just
And it-
like an intermediate tube.
The warranty is one of the reasons. So if you sell, and say you sell an airbox for $300 and it's a K&N and you're a distributor and you paid $250 for it, there isn't the margin there to give the level of support and service and warranty. There just isn't. $50 isn't enough to manage people's issues. And that's why we do bring a lot of brands in-house and try to make better product than what we see out there. And then we can offer a better warranty. And our customers, we go a lot on customer feedback because one thing, so a lot of people think, and I have to have a conversation with my employees, with customers. A lot of times when you're buying a product, people think that you're buying a product. Sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. But what I've realized is that when people spend money with ZZP, they're buying a result. They're buying an idea. They don't just, not always, but a lot of times when a customer comes in and they have a build and they want it, we say, okay, it's going to be $5,000. They're not giving us $5,000 to put parts on the car. They're giving us $5,000 because they want the car to do a particular thing. And if it doesn't do the thing that we put in their head it would do, then we have a problem that we need to take care of. We got $5,000, not for the parts. We got $5,000 for a result, for happiness, and that's what we have to deliver. And so that's why we do a lot of our own branding so that we can control that. And earlier, I think Tim said, did the right thing, paid for the guy's transmission, right?
Yep.
You come here and we screw up your car, or we screw up a build, or whatever it is, we want to be able to take care of that. That's why we try to have everything branded, our stuff. That's why we try to have it under our own umbrella, so that we can control all the aspects of the build. When it's our parts and our tune and our install, as an example, there's no excuse, right? We don't come back and say, oh, well, you did this, you did that. And my guys, they'll bitch. They'll be like, he's doing top speed runs. It's going to 120, back to 0, 120 again. Of course it blew up. And I'm like, well, that's what he came here and thought he was buying. So we got to do something about that. If customer's giving you $5,000 because he wants to go to 120 and back to 0 again, hot lapping it, then you better figure out a way to make that car do that, or tell him we can't take his money.
Yep.
Don't do that, by the way. Just don't. Don't do top speed runs.
I wish
in
it was only
Arizona.
120. I
Yeah.
really wish it was only
It's
120.
not. It's
These
not.
guys pumping their tanks full of 91 octane and going to 160 and back to
It's ridiculous.
stop and back
speeds
to
and
160.
Scans,
Is this a good initial scan for my 1.0 file? I went 160. No, it's not good.
So just a tiny bit of care, concern, and common sense, guys. Ask a lot of questions. We're not afraid to answer. The gas is a big deal. There's a lot of states. I'm sorry, you're screwed. Talk to your governor. You're never going to be like the other guys. If you're running 91 in your state, and not even all 91 is the same, not all 93 is the same. So, find out, ask us. We know a lot of states, and we know, thank God, Michigan has good gas. So that's awesome for us, but it also makes it hard for us to tune your cars when you're filling up in Michigan and then driving back home to, say,
Minnesota.
there you go. Yeah.
There are states that are definitely worse than others for fuel quality. I mean, that's why ZZP really pushes remote tunes on people, because we can see how your car runs on your mods, your fuel, and we can help you change it to make it safe.
Yeah, your foot, your fuel,
Yeah.
your road.
And I like that Bo mentioned your foot, because there are some customers where the gas pedal never hits the floor, and I have to tune kind of around their driving style. There are customers that want to do 4 top speed runs.
Some people's foot always hits the floor.
Yeah,
It's one or the other too. Weird.
it's at least once a week I'll get a scan from, it's you LTG guys, a scan from you guys where you'll turn a corner, get up to 107, whatever the governor is, and then you'll slam on the brakes in the next turn, get it up to 107 again. You'll do that 3 or 4 times on the first revision from me. And it's oh my gosh, okay, I gotta tune this guy a little differently. It's difficult, and I really can't even knock them that much, because that's what I did when I was 16. Sorry, I did this, but remote tuning allows me to see your driving style and your fuel and mods, and we can adjust for that.
Speaking of limiters, don't get a tune and tell us your rev limiter is stuck at $4,000 because you're in neutral with your foot on the floor. That's always an annoying email.
Yep, there's a different rev limiter. It's for your park neutral rev limiter. 3,800 guys.
Here's my scan, but you're in neutral.
So
Or
many.
park.
Or crackle tunes. That's been getting me a lot lately. Got a guy that's really blowing me up about wanting a pop fire bang tune. Oh man, please, people.
Yeah, there's
Stop
Matt,
with this.
the burnout guy.
Yeah.
This guy just does a burnout and sends a tune. Guys, we need reasonable driving to get logs.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Don't make assumptions. Help us help you. Give us information. If you don't know what to do, just ask. We'll tell you.
I always say normal aggressive driving in at least 20 minutes. And that doesn't mean let it idle for 19 minutes and then run up and down the street once.
I mean, if you're remote tuning with me, I gave you direct instructions of how long, the engine needs to be up to running temperature. Drive it normal for this amount of time. Give me one gear of full throttle. Like, put it in manual mode.
And
or
not
if
fifth
you're,
gear either.
Yeah, like, put it in third gear or whatever, depending on the car, and punch it from, like, 3,000 to 6,000.
And read your emails and answer all the questions that are asked. Don't answer one question and then diarrhea a bunch of information. Like, please, just if the tuner asks you 6 questions, please answer all 6 questions in one email.
Copy and paste and respond after it, please.
What time is it, boys? We got 2 minutes. What everybody doing this weekend? Steve?
Getting the house ready.
Oh, yes.
I got baby coming hopefully next week, so
Woo!
I get to play house chores.
Baby number 1.
Baby number 1. Scary stuff.
Good thing you've already acquired all of your things.
I have plenty of toys.
I'm just going to be tinkering around the garage a little bit. It's about that time. We got, everybody's around here just getting a little itchy to get the cars out. Weather's starting to turn.
I put my summer tires on yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, maybe, I got some tune-ups to do, get the covers off, get switched over to that mode. I think we're going to get more snow, though, so we'll see how that goes.
That's because I put my summer tires on yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week for me, summer tires next week.
We can do that.
Yep. This weekend I got family coming in town. My daughter's got a play at school. She's doing Mary Poppins.
Oh, cool. Yep, I've got my niece, so we'll be hanging out with her for the weekend.
She
and
fixed the printer today.
Yeah, she did.
I heard that. Is that a true thing?
Kinda. She definitely helped take it apart and put the new part in. Yeah.
Yeah, she needed some prompting. Was she 4?
Yeah, 3, 4. Yeah. And F1 race, that's happening. So
Yeah.
gotta get.
Cool, guys. Thanks for tuning in, hanging
who,
out with
who yesterday's game? Whose fault was that? Threw off the whole deal. College basketball.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get ranked number 1 and get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was that?
That
By
was.
Furman or something? Furman or something? Yeah, it was a pretty
does
big
that
upset.
happen?
Yeah, so sorry, everybody. All of our brackets are wasted.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, 5 o'clock. We're out of
cool.
here.
We'll see you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks for
guys.
tuning in.
Have a good weekend.